Okay, so before I start today's topic, I'd just like to say, first of all, thank you so much for the lovely messages that I got, the comments and the support. That was absolutely amazing. It's because of your support that I actually have the courage to do this. So thank you. I was really, really touched. And the other thing is I even got some messages just saying that that video inspired them to take that first step and then to start talking about their issues and to tell their story, whether that was to friends, family, or a professional. But that's absolutely amazing because that's really what I was aiming for. So I'm glad to see that because it reinforces my belief that this is important and that this is helping some people. So that's really fantastic. So great stuff. So today's topic is about answering a question I was asked, which I thought was very, very relevant. So the question was, how do you actually start to talk about this? You know, I mean, rape and sexual abuse is not something you just drop into a conversation, and I think that's a very fair enough question because it's all good to say, well, let's be open and honest about it, but it is a very difficult topic to approach and to start talking about. So of course everyone is different, but here just are a few, I guess, sort of ideas, comments and tips and things that helped me, and of course I'd love for your comments as well, if you have any response. So yeah. So first of all, I guess what you need to decide is, who do you want to speak to? So is that a professional? In a lot of the cases, especially in the beginning, that's actually a very good idea because they're obviously trained for this and they'll know how to help you. They know how to ask the right questions. They know how to guide you through the process, etc. And that's quite vital actually in the beginning. To be honest, I only saw a professional just once straight after the incident because my university recommended it for me. And not that I had a bad experience. I think after that I was able to just sort of talk to it with my family and my boyfriend at the time, and I felt that maybe I could process it by myself. But to be honest, today I sort of feel like I should have gone to see a professional actually, because they really will help you to understand those issues and guide you through the process. And I think I could have healed in certain cases a lot faster and maybe process things a lot faster in certain ways. So I definitely recommend going to see a professional. Then you've got, of course, your family and friends that you can talk to. So here are a few tips, and this obviously also relates to talking to professionals. So there's just sort of tips to help you ease into the process. The first thing I guess would be something I like to call surface questions. So these are questions that touch upon the surface of the event. So for example, when you start to open up about this, you don't have to straight away go into the incident. You don't have to talk about the really painful, hurtful stuff. I recommend starting with a few simple questions like, well, how do I actually feel today? And explore that. Or how has this incident affected me? So little things like that, and start to explore that, and it kind of makes you more relaxed. It makes you more comfortable with starting to talk about the deeper issues at a certain stage, and it just sort of makes it a little bit more familiar territory, which is important. And you'll find that eventually you start to open up and be able to talk about a lot more deeper topics. So that's the one thing. The other thing is to sort of pick your words carefully. So for example, I still find it very hard to say the words "I was raped." So I can do it most of the time, but it always brings that little emotional connection to that. So of course I think it's very important to be able to say those words, but I don't need to use them all the time. So if I do talk about this with someone, you'll see that I tend to use the words incident or the attack, for example. So find those words that you're kind of comfortable with and that make it more easy for you to talk about the situation. The other thing I did a lot was I visited forums, websites, and just yeah, just places where I could read other people's stories, where people were sharing their stories, because it makes it a bit more familiar to you. It makes you feel like it's okay to talk about this and it's normal. But I would just use sort of a word of caution, because it can also be a trigger, so especially if there's a story that sort of relates to you. So be careful about that in that sense, and only do it if you feel comfortable with that. Writing is actually an amazing therapy. So I love writing, and in the early stages when I wasn't able to really speak out even the words, or they were just too painful to say, I would write a lot, and I would write about what happened. I would write about how I felt, everything really, and that was good, because it sort of helped me familiarize with being able to deal with those emotions, and to put that happening on paper, and it also helps in the healing process. So it really is therapy. After you've written that, I mean, either you can, if you want to show it to someone, you can, which might help as well with starting the process of talking about these things. And I guess I did show a couple of things to my boyfriend at the time, if I remember, but mainly I did write for myself. That was really for myself to sort of, when I wasn't able to speak about it, I was able to put that still out of my mind. And after that, decide what you want to do with it. If you want to keep it around, if you want to write in a journal. To be honest, I burnt all the pieces of paper I wrote on, because I didn't want them lying around. But you decide what you want to do with it. But it's a great way to start the process, actually, and I recommend that. Baby steps. Baby steps, because it's good to push yourself. It's good to sort of to get out of your comfort zone, because it's never easy. It's not going to be an easy process. But at the same time, make sure that you're not pushing yourself too hard. So know your limits. It's good to know what you're ready for and what you're not. So it doesn't matter how long this takes. I mean, I've seen some people, they've been able to talk about it within a couple of weeks, so really talk about the most traumatic and emotional issues. Other people, it takes a couple of years, and that's perfectly normal. So there's no right or wrong way. It's really at your own pace and what you feel comfortable with. Lastly, I guess it would be picking the right people to talk to, of course. Especially when it's sort of the very early stages, when these are the first people you're sort of opening up to. Make sure you pick people who you're close to, who will understand you, who are good listeners, etc. Don't be discouraged if they don't really know how to react to what you're saying. You'll find that that's the case most of the time, and that's okay. It's absolutely normal, absolutely normal. So just what you actually need, to be honest, and this is what happens, is a person to listen to you in the early stages, and that they will do. So that's all you need, and you'll find that the second time you talk to them, it gets a lot easier, and they'll actually start to ask you a few questions and start to talk to you more openly and freely about it. So don't be discouraged from maybe if the first time you open up isn't as easy as you would expect, or it might be a little bit uncomfortable. That's completely normal. So I guess those are my tips, and again, we'll have to get any of your comments. What I will say to finish up this video is that just realize how important it is, actually, this whole process, and realize why you're doing it. At the end of the day, you know, you're going to learn so much about yourself, and you're going to understand things that, you know, why you've been doing things a certain way, or how it's affected your life and who you've become today. And that's really important. And eventually, even though it's really hard at the beginning, you will be stronger in the end. So definitely worth it. Okay, well, I hope you've enjoyed this, and I guess see you later.